The development on the passive solar greenhouse continues. The raised bed is now framed out wood-wise. It still needs to be cleaned, but it's moving along. And I started the shot there. I seeded out some parsley yesterday and it was so warm it already started growing. Now I went through before, we're supposed to get a really shocking cold night tonight, around 15 degrees. It's been weirdly mild lately. And so I thought before the ground seizes up, let me go out in the garden and find some cilantro and parsley and just transplant a few plants in now that soil is starting to fill the bed and see how they fare. I put a little temperature monitor in here. That's that little blue doodad right there, which will monitor every minute the relative humidity and the temperature. So tonight it should get down to around 15 outside. Be interested to see what the temperature right where that parsley is, what that will get. But this bed is crazy deep and big. It's about 20 inches tall, 4 feet deep, and about 14 feet long. So somewhere near 100 cubic feet of material to fill this. Many wheelbarrow loads, that's for sure. I still have a little ways to go. And all I did, very simple, is 1, 2, and 3 locust staves that I sharpened, and I hammered those in with a maul. And then I found one locust board that was beautifully, perfectly the right length to go the entire distance, and that's the bottom one. And then these 4 are cut so that they sit with the pressure of the soil. You can see it's still movable. Once there's enough soil, that'll hold it. And then down at the bottom here on the inside, I put a paving stone and then bolted in this 2x4 of locust, which goes up to the ceiling. I haven't finished this part yet, but what will happen is there will be a locust board that goes across 1, 2, 3 of these white ash, and 1, 2, 3, and it'll be screwed into each of them, and little angle braces, knee braces, come off of this 2x4, and that creates another layer of structural support for the ceiling. So I think that should work nicely. It stacks some functions and helps the boards be held in there. So this is the work for the rest of the day, is wheelbarrow load after wheelbarrow load of layers of aged compost, fresh compost, a little bit of biochar, basically making one huge compost bin of more gentle aged material. And on the far end here, where the parsley and cilantro went in, I finished by capping it with about a foot thick layer of finished compost that was in the chicken yard, and we'll transplant into that. Now this bed is so deep that what we're going to do is we'll have a his and a hers, so to speak, where herbs that Sasha interacts with and cooks with, or that we'll be harvesting for our meals, will be in the first 2 feet that both she and I can access easily from this wood chipped pathway. So we just dumped a ton of wood chips in here, a full truckload, so about 2 or 3 cubic yards. And so this will be easy to harvest and work with, and the access for the far side still remains to be seen, but my plan tentatively is, once this is full with soil, to run a 6-inch wide plank down the whole middle in here, and then 1 or 2 stones, so I can step up onto the stones and walk down the plank, or perhaps a series of stones that gets me to the far side, and that's my minor walkway. And this last 2 feet will be used for starting nursery plants or starting other seeds where we don't need to cut them every day or harvest them every single day, but they'll enjoy all the light that's there. So to be like a zone 2 or zone 3, so to speak, like less frequently interacted with. But the idea of having this one large monolithic bed means one huge chunk of thermal mass and one place to have to water. Whether or not we'll add other beds into here remains to be seen. This area over here, for now, I want to leave open with the idea that it may be a table and chairs, but chances are we'll have more permanent beds on that side. And then we collected more paving stones from a dump fill site and painted, so to speak, air quotes, with charcoal the south and east side so far. We'll see how this works. The idea being that the sun will strike the blackness of that, and hopefully these steps will act as yet another thermal mass for this whole space. But these were free and probably weigh many hundreds of pounds, so they might be a heat sink for this. We'll see how that works. This area will be a series of small stepped tables that we can put potted plants that can be beautiful to look at from the house. And then this corner, I believe, will be a series of racks or shelves that we can use for seed starting flats or to put screens to dehydrate crops in the middle of the summer. That still remains to be seen. This is the theme of the video, the remains to be seen video. But steps are in. We feel nice about the simplicity of them. They work fine for us. This bed, a lot more labor to fill with soil. But we'll see this evening down, mid-teens outside with a temperature probe right at parsley level. I'll do an update in the next video and let folks know. I don't expect crazy performance yet. I still have yet to button up that corner and, pardon the real quick swing, this corner. So there's a ton of air moving through here. In fact, I'd be surprised if it was more than a few degrees warmer at that soil line. But I wonder if it's almost mid-30s, low 30s today, will that preserve overnight and keep this in the low 20s? It's a question we'll have to see. But so far, this little device, it's accurate to within the 10th of a degree. I don't necessarily want to advertise it yet. I'm not quite sure if I love it. I think I do. It's about $50, and it pairs to my phone via Bluetooth, and it lets me log everything that's happening. For those that are interested, it's called Sensor Push. I bought it from eBay. You can't buy it from Amazon, so don't go to Amazon.com for it. The tubes are in. We've got 3 in total. The tops and how they get cut off and how the fans and the active air movement, all that, as you guessed, remains to be seen. But I thought this would be a fun little update video before we get into a cold snap of the layout of this bed, the design of the one huge monster chunk bed, as opposed, I see so many videos and examples where folks they make these high tunnels or greenhouses, and then it's just these small pots, and every single bit of soil is completely in isolation. They all have to be watered and managed independently. This is one huge living block of soil, so I really believe this will work well. I'm going to plan to get a layer of mycelium, of wine cap, known wine cap wood chips in here, a bunch of layers of biochar, some aged compost, and then again cap it with a foot of what has been productive, mineral heavy and finished compost on the top. And kitchen garden herbs, frequently accessed herbs on this side, high value nursery, less frequently needed to be accessed on this side, and that pattern will most likely draw down this whole length. In the next video that should be clearer, and perhaps the reality of this layout will inform that decision a little bit better. The door's in and functional with a temporary simple latch. It's moving along. Thanks for being part of this whole process. I'm really excited with the charcoal painting. We'll see with a little bit of foot traffic and wear and tear how this works. Do we drag charcoal in the house and have that be miserable? Hopefully not. But if this preserves and doesn't fade too quickly, then that same charcoal treatment will be used for these sun traps in between the bricks and the windows, like I mentioned in the last video. And I may even be experimenting with a trom wall effect by sliding in little offcuts of Tuftex roofing material in there to create little micro greenhouse heating channels. I'd figure out a way to mix the charcoal with perhaps a resin or an oil like a linseed oil so I can really work it in with my fingertips. And then one of these days soon when we get a thaw again, Sasha and I will mix up some clay and wool and start working on these little air gaps and then finish some of these pocket gaps at the top Our plan right now is to use greenhouse plastic packed with wool and basically make plastic insulative pillows that we can pack into each of those gaps for the winter. We'll share notes as we go. That is the greenhouse getting ready for a cold snap. And in the next video, we'll see, did this parsley survive and thrive? It remains to be seen. Thanks for watching.